So you can apply for a job, to buy fund stock, to invest in an index fund which tracks the overall movement of the market.
So number one, let's define the market. So imagine a big store where every person is buying and selling pieces of companies, and this store can be called the market. And just like prices in a regular store can go up and down in price, the prices of these companies can change too. The index is a way of judging the price of every single item in the grocery store or stock market with one number. The S&P 500 is a really popular index and is made up of the 500 largest publicly traded companies. So it's kind of like a Walmart where you can almost get everything that you need. Index funds is simply a mutual fund or an ETF that buys everything inside the index. So the Vanguard 500 Index ETF, VOO, would hold the same 500 stocks as the S&P 500. And this is a good idea because index funds are typically the lowest cost investment tools that you can invest in. VOO only cost 0.03% in annual expense ratio. Index funds also have built-in diversification as well. But picking an index fund can quickly become overwhelming because there are a lot of ETFs out there that qualifies as an index fund but are expensive and carry excessive risk because they track an obscure market with very little stocks, like the Round Hill Magnificent 7 ETF that only invests in Amazon, Microsoft, Nvidia, Apple, Facebook, Google, and Tesla. So let's watch the second one.
Now remember, time in the market better than timing the market, okay?
Now that you know what a market is, time in the market, for example, would mean buying an index fund, no matter if it's been going up or down, and holding on to the fund for the long term through good and bad market cycles, and reinvesting all dividends. Academic research has proven that it's almost impossible to do better than just investing in an index fund for the long term. Look at Pacer Trend Pilot US Large Cap ETF, PTLC, which uses the 200-day simple moving average to time the market. And that fund has underperformed the S&P 500 index by over 4% on average since it was created back in 2015. For people who buy and hold, they can still get into trouble by not having the right expectations on what long-term actually means. The S&P 500 index, if you invested $100 at the beginning of 2000, you would have only gotten back $91 back at the end of 2009. And this was coined the lost decade, and many people gave up investing in the US market altogether. But that would have been a mistake because the same $100 in the beginning of 2010 would have grown to $365 by the end of 2019.
Dollar cost averaging, a good place to start.
So this is like saving money in a piggy bank regularly, but instead of a piggy bank, you're buying parts of companies. Overall, this is a good idea because you automatically are buying more shares when prices are low and less shares when prices are high. And you are saving regularly so you don't end up wasting the money as it accumulates. But if you have a large lump sum of money, you are likely better off investing it all at once immediately. Because in the past 100 years history in the US stock market, 73% of the time, the market has gone up by the end of the year. Lump sum investing is especially hard to do though, so dollar cost averaging can come in and will at least help you start participating in the market, because otherwise, without dollar cost averaging, people will just sit out and stay on the sidelines forever, thinking that they have to make an all or nothing decision to invest in the market or not. But when you're spacing out your lump sum investing to follow a dollar cost averaging plan, make sure to not space it out for more than 6 to 9 months, because at that point, there's a higher likelihood that you're going to be missing out on investment gains. So keep in mind, everything I share here is for educational purposes only and should not be taken as investment advice. But if you do want investment advice from someone who is experienced, you can trust, and doesn't take himself too seriously, check out coplanninggroup.com and just drop a message and say hi.
Also, don't forget to open a Roth IRA account where your contributions can grow tax-free.
Asians hate taxes more than any demographic I've worked with for the past 10 years. The Roth IRA is a great complement to a retirement saving plan because if you only save in a 401k and you do a really good job in it, you may have a really high tax bracket when the required minimum distribution begins and you have to pay a combined 20, 30, or 40% of federal and state tax when you are in retirement. So it feels really good to have a Roth IRA to pull money out from when you don't have to worry about that tax. So keep in mind, you can only contribute the income that you have earned. And for 2023, you can contribute up to $6,500 or $7,500 if you're over 50. And for 2024, the number goes up to $7,000 and $8,000 respectively. So my biggest gripe about this piece of advice is that not everybody can contribute into a Roth IRA. If you're fortunate enough to make over $138,000 as a single person, you start phasing out how much you can put in. And at $153,000 income, you cannot put in any at all. If you are married, the phase out is between $218,000 and $228,000. So anyone making too much money to contribute to a Roth IRA can always put money into a non-deductible traditional IRA and then immediately convert it to a Roth IRA. This is commonly known as the backdoor Roth IRA. But the problem with that is that if you have any traditional IRA assets at all, then doing the backdoor Roth IRA would result in more taxes than you might expect, due to something called the pro rata rule.
What's retirement? Oh, a retirement? Oh, that's after you work 40 years in a job you hate, so you save enough money to do things you love, like, I don't know, painting, like music or theater. I know! I'll skip all that and become an actor today.
I believe that you don't have to wait until you are 60 years old to start benefiting from early financial planning. Let's say you start at 25 and save $20,000 a year, manage to grow that investment by 7% each year for 10 years total. By the time you're 35, you will have $315,000. If $50,000 happens to be easily accessible or you convert it into cash, I will bet that you won't be as tolerant of the BS of office politics or a bad boss. And you can begin negotiating for a better work environment or higher pay. And if your manager doesn't meet you in the middle at all, you can leave the job knowing that you have the cash cushion to afford you the time to find another job. And that's what happened to me. I was 32 years old and I worked under a manager who I could no longer trust, and I left that job to start my own wealth management practice in 2021. I went from making over 6 figures to no income at all because I couldn't take any clients with me. But I could afford to leave because I have been saving and investing aggressively in rental properties and the stock market for the past 10 years. I didn't have to wait until I was 60 years old to pursue this dream of mine. And with a little bit of early planning and time, you can do the same. So like and subscribe if you like this video, and thanks for watching.